Good evening. It is now currently half past wrinkled, Eastern Time, half past blue, Pacific and Mountain. Somewhere in the orange spectrum, everywhere else. This is Jigsaw Radio. I'm your host, Chet Burrows. We, of course, start with the news. Today in East Grumsley, there was a crosswalk fire. We don't exactly know how the crosswalk fire started, but only the black parts were affected. We will be going to Sydney Banks in the field. Sydney, what are you doing out there? What are you seeing? Well, Chet, I am primarily a weather person. I studied meteorology. Yes, Sydney. We're very proud of you for that. Yeah. And so I'm really curious why you decided to send me into the field today. Well, we were hoping that you could use your meteorological expertise to come up with some sort of answer as to why the black parts of the crosswalks all around East Grumsley were catching on fire. Well, that is a really a very important thing to know, Chet. But I mostly look up a lot. I look up at the sky. You look up at the sky. Yeah, I look up at the sky a whole lot, and I don't exactly look down very much, because I didn't really understand seismology when I was studying for being a weatherman, and that's really the only thing I can think of that would really pertain to what usually is part of my job. Okay, well, that's Sydney Banks in East Grumsley. For those of you just joining us, those crosswalk fires, only the black parts were affected. You can still walk on the white parts of the crosswalks. We're going to go to Ava Caballero in Washington. Ava. Yes, Chet. I'm not entirely sure why you've called me. Well, Ava, I was just talking about crosswalks, and I thought with everything that's going on in Washington today that it might be something that you might have an opinion on. Well, Chet, there is that, except for the fact that I'm not working today, and you called my hotel room. Ah, yes, I did do that, Ava, because that's the number that I had for you here at the station. Yes, Chet, I did ask that you not call me when I'm not working. Well, I thought that maybe you... I understand. I am a very intelligent woman, and I do actually have an opinion on the crosswalks that I'm not going to tell you until tomorrow when I'm working. Okay, that is Ava Caballero in Washington. This is Chet Burrows for Jigsaw Radio. I know that you haven't joined me here for a while, not since the accident, and I would like to take this moment to thank our listeners all across the nation and indeed the world in this wonderful internet age for joining us here for my first broadcast back in some time since the accident. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Happy Valley Sanatorium in a Bottle. They have done great work for me and for a lot of people who find themselves both debilitatingly under siege by disease, madness, and sudden miniaturization. So it is very important to find that thing, that place that you can be safe when you are only 2 inches tall. Not entirely sure how you got there because of all the morphine. And it's the Happy Valley Sanatorium in a Bottle really did save my life, as well as my friend Dan, who I met in there. We had a bottle for 2. Dan was a good man. And I know that, yes, I'm aware. But I thought that they were a sponsor, so I could. Okay, I'll move it along. So that's Happy Valley Sanatorium in a Bottle, and they're our sponsors today. And I'm just very grateful. I've been told that I need to move on. There's some breaking news. We're going back to Sydney Banks. Sydney, what are you seeing in East Grumsley? Well, Chet, I am seeing some actual weather that I thought that you might be interested in. I'm very interested in your weather observations, Sydney. So please, over to you. Yes, thank you, Chet. This is Sydney Banks in East Grumsley, near a crosswalk for no apparent reason, but I am looking up and I am seeing something I have never seen before. It is a cloud shaped exactly spherical. It is a spherical cloud, ladies and gentlemen. I've never before in all of the history of Sydney, are you okay there? I just could never say meteorology. Yes, that word. Thank you. I could never say that word. It made it really hard to tell people where I was going to school. I can understand how that would be painful for you, but do go on. You saw a spherical cloud. Yes, it's still in the sky. It's hovering right above me. It appears to be white. Perhaps it may have been a cumulonimbus at some point in history, but I'm not entirely sure. It's so hard to tell. We learn so much about clouds from their shapes, and well, this one's just a giant orb of water vapor, apparently floating, not really moving with the wind. Now that I think about it, there is some wind projected. You mentioned at the 5 o'clock broadcast. Yes, I know what I said at the 5 o'clock. I also didn't say that there'd be a giant spherical cloud, so I'm dealing with that too. I hope that you're not too disappointed in me. No, Sydney, it's quite all right. You stood up for me when I did stand up for you, Chet. I was the only one. Yes, Sydney, you were the only one who stood up for me, and I really do appreciate it. But why do you think that this spherical orb-like cloud is going to cause any change in today's forecast? Well, Chet, I do believe that that oftentimes when a new cloud moves in like this, it's pretty irregular, as you might imagine, and I don't really know what kind of rain is going to come out of a spherical cloud. It might be spherical rain. Oh, well, really, technically, all rain is spherical. They're perfectly spherical, but the motion through the air makes them into little teardrop shapes. That's why we draw it that way. I never knew that, Sydney. You learn something every day listening to you. Thank you, Chet. I really do appreciate that. But really, maybe this cloud may rain sideways, or may just have lots of shade, or might turn into a bunny rabbit. I really don't know, Chet. But I do predict that we'll probably see some sunshine tomorrow, with a high around 86, low probably around 55, 56, somewhere in there, unless, of course, this orb-like cloud rains death upon us all. Back to you, Chet. Thank you, Sydney Banks. That's the current weather on the scene from a crosswalk in East Grumsley. More after this. You're listening to Jigsaw Radio. I'm Chet Burrows. Now, the moon. What do we know about the moon? We know it appears in the sky mysteriously most every night, except when it doesn't. And we know that it changes its face all the time. Can we trust the moon? We're going to go to Chris Jingling in Vienna for more.
Hello. Yes. Hello, Chet.
Yes, Chris Jingling. Are you there? There's a little bit of interference on the line.
Yes, it's I'm in a protective sphere, Chet.
Protective sphere.
Yes, it's to protect me against the moon.
Really? You've learned that much about the moon?
Yes, I was going to file a report, but I discovered that the moon had eaten it.
The moon ate your report.
Yes, the moon ate my report, Chris. Chet. Whatever your name is.
Is it messing with your memory, Chris?
Yes, it is messing with my memory. I do not know where I am or who I am anymore. I'm in this protective dome because the moon is stealing my memories.
Chris JngJngJngJng, you're in Vienna, and you sound like you're in a blender.
Well, that's because the moon! That's because of the moon! The moon is going to drive us all insane, Chet! The moon, it is driving us all insane!
Chris JngJngJng, I believe that we're, yes, we are, in fact, getting some interference with the satellite, so we're going to have to come back to you later.
No, don't cut me off, Chet! You must be warned about the moon! The moon, it is a ghost!
I'm sorry, gentle humans, for that garbled report. I believe that, yes, I'm being told that Chris JngJngJngJng was pre-recorded there. It was all apparently part of a high school prank by some children in Vienna. But let's turn to the lighter side. Let's go to sports with Lucas King. Hello, Chet Burrows. This is Lucas King. I'm here at the arena, the newly opened arena here in West Grumsley. Go fighting Blue Jays of winter with helmets. Yeah, I'm in West Grumley at the arena, and we are really psyched about all of the sports that are going on here today. In the left-hand corner, of course, we have the pinnacles of columnar brilliant shines from West Hampsteadshire in the United Kingdom. I think that's what they said because they were all eating fish when they came on the field. They also seemed to be not bipedal and completely gray and sort of shiny, and they had sort of like, instead of hands, they had like flippers. But they all came out balancing their sports balls on their noses, waddled out onto the field, and they looked to be quite content, Jet. I'm very happy to see this sporting team all the way from the United Kingdom. They seem to be quite proficient at their sport, which appears to mostly involve balancing things, but they seem to have scored several times already, and the game hasn't even started yet. Now, in the south corner of the arena field, there is noticeably some people putting up folding chairs. I assume that this is overflow seating for the arena, which is kind of strange because it does seat 500,000, which makes it a very large arena as sporting arenas go. But there they are setting up. Wait, no, I'm seeing they are setting up the chairs so that they can stand on them. Apparently, so that they can reach a slightly bit higher into the air over the arena stadium. I'm not entirely sure what they're reaching for. Oh, I see. They're bringing out fish. Oh, this is our own West Grumsley rocketeer shipsmen, women, animals. They are the West Grumsley rocketeer midshipsons, and they are holding buckets of fish in the air. Oh, and the UK team, they are coming over. It is taking a little while. They don't appear to be really adapted to traveling on the land very well, but they are coming. They have dropped their sporting balls. They seem to be confused by the buckets of fish. Oh, and our own West Grumsley rocketeermen, women, animal peoples, they are holding the fish in the air one by one. They are on their folding chairs. They are holding their fish, and the United Kingdom, the gray, strange people things. They're jumping, and they're grabbing the fish. They're grabbing the fish out of the hands of our own West Grumsley. I'm not even sure how to score this. I don't know exactly who's winning and who's losing, but everyone seems to be having a grand time here in West Grumsley at the sporting arena of grass and things. So I will come back to you, Chet, with more from this event as it goes into further innings and periods and quarters. Back to you, Chet. Thank you, Lucas King. With sports, it's Lucas King. He's been with the station for, I don't know, at least 5 minutes. And we're all really proud of him. Now, the time has come. The time has come to go to our international board for this segment on the arts with Peter Strassel. Thank you, Chet. Music. Music is an interesting art form. Music is the thing that happens to us when we stop speaking and start humming. Music is the thing that happens when we all wonder what it would be like if we could dance to the things that we're saying. Joining me in the studio is Nina JngJngJngJng, who has composed a new piece of music that addresses some of these things. That's Nina JngJngJngJng. Let's listen to it now. So, Nina, what inspired you to compose this piece? Well, Peter, I feel that it's really important that we make sure that we remember that music has noises in it. Oh, that's a very good point. Yes, you see, the music that I like to make, it comes from within. Some of the sounds that you heard in that were actually taken with a microphone I placed inside my body. Oh, that's very interesting. How did you keep it from being dissolved? Oh, I didn't ingest it. I actually surgically implanted it in my left thigh. And then I ran around the block a few times. And then as I sat down, I noticed that my heartbeat and the bleeding made a really interesting sound when I downloaded the music files later. So I included them in my newest composition. So Nina, how did you study music? Mostly I just listened to it. That's a good start. Yes, I just listened to it, and then I thought that's probably music, and then I listened to some more music, and then I found out that that wasn't music, that was actually a voicemail that I was listening to, but then I thought maybe that is music, and so I thought, well, maybe I could make more music if I just pay attention to what I think is music, because it isn't really anything else. You mean like those bodily noises? Yes, like those bodily noises, or you know, when you hear a squeaking in the floor when someone is moving furniture, or perhaps when you do a thing that annoys someone else, but you don't notice that you're doing it, but you're tapping, or you're making a noise, or you have a verbal tick or something like that that is very annoying to other people, but you don't know that you're doing it. So it's not communication because it is not intentional. So therefore, perhaps it is a different kind of communication, an emotional communication, something that is unsaid or unexamined, and that's the kind of music that I really focus my career on. So this is your third album, is that correct? That's correct. And but this is the first one you haven't self-released. Is that right? Well, yes, my first one, the butterflies, oh God, the butterflies. was self-released. There were only 3. It was cassette tapes. Each one of them was hand spooled and carved from found wood scraps, mostly from construction sites. And I was very proud of that one, but it was hard to get it played many places because there were only the 3. The drill bit broke after the 3rd one, so I couldn't manufacture any further ones. That is a shame. Did you think about investing in a new drill bit? Well, I did, but then as I was in the hardware store to buy the new drill bit, that is when I composed my 2nd album, What Does All of This Stuff Do? And I composed it there, and then I used the PA system of the hardware store itself to record and release the album. So that had a limited release of about 150 people over the course of the day. After that, I think they destroyed the tapes, although the police in Duluth may still have a copy. Well, that's very interesting. I need to look that up. So who is releasing this 3rd album? Well, we live in a digital age now, Peter, and so you can just, record stuff on MP3s and stuff and put them on like iTunes and stuff. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, and I found my brother-in-law started a new record label. Record label. We still call it a record label. Can you believe that? I do believe that. You just made cassette tapes out of garbage. Well, that's true. So that is Nina JngJngJngJng. Her new album, This Isn't Made Out of Wood, is released everywhere online tomorrow. Back to you, Chet Burrows, in the studio. Thanks, Peter Strassel. And I really need to look up that album. It sounds fascinating. A little bit more on our sponsors today. Another one of our sponsors, Tiny Red Spiders. Tiny Red Spiders. They're on you right now. That's Tiny Red Spiders. Oh God, they're all over you. Thank you for sponsoring us today. We're going to go back to Sydney Banks for a check-in on that giant spherical cloud. Yes, Sydney in East Rumsley. Sydney, are you there? Yeah, Chet, I don't know what to tell you, man. Sydney, you seem distressed. Is everything all right? Has the cloud changed? The cloud hasn't changed so much, but it is just sort of looking at me, I think. Kinda ish. It's looking at you. Sydney, clouds don't have eyes so much. No, well, this one sort of does. Sort of does. Has an eye. Developed an eye. Or really more than turned around. It was kind of maybe always an eye. Giant, big, probably, 50 to 100 meters. It's hard to tell because there's no other clouds. It's kind of hard to see where it is, how it works exactly. But it turned about 180 degrees, maybe a little less. But then it revealed that it had this giant, very human, almost pleasing looking, until I realized what I was looking at, and that it was looking at me. Eye. So there's a giant eye hovering over East Rumsley. Is that what you're saying, Sydney? That's exactly what I'm saying, Chet. What do you think this eye entails for the weather this week? Well, Chet, that's really hard to say, because that's a giant eye in the sky, Chet. It's a giant eye in the sky. I think that maybe it has a better idea of the weather than I do, because it can see further, because it's a giant eye in the sky, Chet. There's a giant eye in the sky, Chet. A giant eye in the sky, Chet. Thank you for that report, Sydney Banks. In East Rumsley, giant eye in the sky. Let's check in with Lucas King at the Sports Arena of Sports. Lucas, are you there? Oh, Chet, yes. Well, the two opposing teams seem to have completely gone away. They disappeared. I don't know, Chet. I got confused. I went over to one of them, before they disappeared, and one of the West Grumsley Rocketeerman woman animal people, they put a fish in my mouth, and then I turned around to spit it out, and then they weren't there anymore, Chet. They weren't there. The sporting wasn't happening anymore, Chet. Lucas, when you turned around to spit out the fish, yeah, Chet. You turned around to spit out the fish. Is that correct? That's correct, Chet. Did you remember to turn back around after spitting out the fish? Chet, I'm not sure I did. All right, Lucas. Do you want to try turning around now? Oh, hey, Chet, they're there. They're there, Chet. They're there. But they're not on the chairs anymore. That's okay, Chet. I'm sure that was just a warm-up for the intense and amazing sporting goodness that is going to be happening soon. Well, yeah, Chet. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on them now. I won't turn around or anything. But it looks like they're taking a break. They're sharing some Gatorade. Can we say that on the air? Gatorade? It's not one of our sponsors, so we'll have to edit that out. Okay, so they're sharing some, and then it looks like they're gonna get started with. They're bringing out some sort of sporting equipment. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it looks like it might be water guns. I'll check in with you later, Chet. That's Lucas King at the Arena of Sports Arena in West Grumsley. Oh. Hang on. I'm getting word about that crosswalk fire, but not from Sydney Banks, who is on the scene. I'm getting word from the crosswalk fire from my finger in my ear. My finger is talking to me again. My finger is saying that the crosswalk fires were only on the black parts because the white parts are paint that kept the fires from burning through from the mole demons underneath the pavement. My finger is telling me that the mole demons are unhappy about crosswalks. And yet my finger has nothing more to say on the subject, leading me to wonder whether my finger is in league with the mole demons. The mole demons are all around us, underneath the streets. They want the pavement back. The mole demons. We thought we'd defeated them. But apparently they've returned. And that's about all the time we have for the news. My name is Chet Burrows. You're listening to Jigsaw Radio, and we're going to go out tonight with listening to a little bit more from Nina JngJngJngJng's newest album, This Is Not Made of Wood. You're the only finger I listen to. The other one had an earpiece, so